Are you thinking of becoming a tattoo apprentice, but you don't know where to start? The very first thing you need is a solid portfolio. So today I'm going to break down exactly what mentors want to see in your tattoo portfolio. Stay tuned. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. So just getting straight into it today, obviously you guys know that I'm a tattoo apprentice, and I think one of the biggest topics when it comes down to becoming a tattoo apprentice and getting that really elusive opportunity is what kind of thing do you want to put in your portfolio? What kind of things work the best? What things should you leave out? What do mentors really want to see? So I've compiled a little list of the do's and don'ts, and that's just sort of based on my own personal experience, things that I've heard from other artists, and also what I've seen other people doing as well. So it's kind of a more well-rounded view on what kind of things you should be going for when it comes down to your tattoo portfolio. Okay, so let's start off with the don'ts. What should you not do? It's important to consider that your portfolio is meant to be a professional representation of your work. So keeping it clean, keeping it organized, keeping it all nicely tied together in one place is really, really essential. Remember that it's not just a sketchbook dump. I feel like a lot of people, they go into shops, and I've heard this from a lot of artists, that people go into shops with their quote unquote portfolio, but really it's just sort of doodles that they've done on scrap bits of paper. They don't really show the full potential of what your artwork could actually be. And just keep in mind that it doesn't look the most professional. Well, it doesn't look professional at all, but it's just not a good, what is the word that I'm looking for? Representation of your work. And you have to remember that this is going to be, for probably a lot of people, like the first time that you're meeting that artist, if you're not going into a shop where you already know the people that work there. So you have to bear in mind that this is going to be their first impression of you, and you really, really want to stand out. There are so many people out there looking for apprenticeships right now. It's very competitive, it's very hard to get into, and so you need to stand out from the crowd. And if you're just creating sketches on some beat up bits of paper, it's going to be memorable, but it's going to be memorable for all the wrong reasons. So stay away from that. Obviously, it goes without saying, copying or tracing, just general plagiarism is a no-go. There's nothing wrong with being inspired by other artists' work and taking little elements that you like from it to create your own piece, but stay away from just straight up taking somebody else's work and claiming it as your own. It's also important to stay away from putting in any kind of tattoos that you might have already done. I feel like the only way you can get around this is if you've had an apprenticeship beforehand that maybe went down the drain, or you quit for whatever reason, things didn't work out, and you were already at the stage where you were starting to tattoo on people or you were on fake skin. I would say that's probably not a bad thing to put in your portfolio, but for the most part, people that are just starting to get into the industry or just wanting to get into the industry, do not show pictures or photos of tattoos that you've done on yourself or on your friends or family. That will work against you. Mentors do not want to see that. And I mentioned this in my DIY apprenticeship versus traditional apprenticeship video, but you pick up really, really bad habits when you start tattooing, when you don't have like the formal training. So yeah, stay away from any kind of home done tattoos. Okay, so now we've done the don'ts, what should you be putting in your portfolio? Foundational drawings, great place to start. Things like anatomy, skulls, flowers, those kinds of things that artists draw all the time. And then think about the different styles that you want to do. So I think I said in one of my previous videos that I knew that I wanted to get into a more traditional Japanese style, but it's important in your portfolio to show versatility. And so I didn't just do traditional Japanese in my portfolio, I did a whole range of styles. So it's important to consider doing things like American trad as well, which is a massive staple in tattooing. Things that are just in black, so like black work, maybe doing a little bit of script. I also did a little bit of ornamental in mine. But yeah, do a range of styles, get familiar with how they look. Obviously, no one's expecting you to know all of the rules behind them and all of the things that you need to be doing to make something look quote unquote traditional or whatever it is. But that's why you're going to start off as an apprentice, because it's a learning curve for you. So don't worry too much about it, but the more you can learn in this like pre-apprenticeship stage, the better it's going to work out for you in the long run. Mentors really, really want to see clean line work. You have to think, if you can't pull a clean line with a pen or with a paintbrush or a pencil, whatever, it's going to be even harder to do it on somebody's skin with a tattoo machine. So make sure when you're practicing, you've got like clean line work. Consider line weights as well. This is something that I did consider when I was doing mine. I didn't really know too much about it, but now actually in my apprenticeship, realizing how important it is to consider line weights and how it's going to affect a tattoo healing and what it's going to look like in 1 year versus 5 years versus 10 years. So play around with line weights, have a bit of fun with it. I'd also say it's a really good idea to do like a combination of flash sheets with multiple little pieces on, but also full size pieces as well. In my one, I think the first page of mine, it was basically just like one big A4 piece, and then I had a couple of other ones throughout, as well as like flash sheets with different kind of designs on, again, just to show versatility. Another thing as well I would say is balancing out color work and black and gray or line work. Do a little bit of all of them. Again, it's just to show that you can do different styles, or you can at least understand different styles, and you're open to learning these things. I guess it's very dependent on the shop that you end up getting an apprenticeship in. The shop that I'm in is not a private studio, it accepts walk-ins, so there's always that possibility that somebody might come in with an idea that might not be in the style that I want to do, or that the other artists do. I shouldn't say not that I want to do, but a style that maybe I quote unquote specialize in, or that the other artists specialize in. So it's important to be well-rounded in that aspect and learn different styles so you can be an all-rounder, because that only maximizes things for you on your end. So I guess when it comes to laying out your portfolio, the way that I did it was I basically categorized all of the pieces that I did by style. So because I wanted to go into traditional Japanese, all of the first bit of my portfolio, which I think was probably about 50% that I did in Japanese style, that first bit was all Japanese. And then I went on and did all of my American trad all together. And then at the end, I had like sort of more fine line and ornamental style pieces. So yeah, I would categorize them in some specific type of way. It doesn't have to be by style, but just so that it can look a little bit more organized. And I feel like as well, when I got called back in to have a little bit more of a, I don't want to say formal interview, it was quite an informal chat, but when I got called back to speak to my mentors, it's really handy if you know exactly where certain things are in your portfolio, especially if it's a little bit of a longer one. Oh yeah, and I also forgot to mention, a lot of people are putting more digital work into their portfolios, which is fine, but make sure that it's not the entirety of your portfolio. People want to see what you're able to do on paper with pens, pencils, paintbrushes. So do not rely on Procreate to make your entire portfolio for you. Okay, so now I'm going to show you not my portfolio, not just yet, but I will show you some of the materials that I use and also the binder that I got for mine, because I think it can be really helpful. I'll see if I can show it on the screen, like a link or something if anyone's looking for it, and just some of the little materials that I use to paint the things in my portfolio. Whoop-de-whoop. Okay, so I hope you can see this. This is the binder that I used. I literally got it on Amazon. It was really cheap. It's just like a really nice like binder with just like the little, what are these called, plastic inserts that I just slid all my artwork into. For the paper that I used, I really like using like thick watercolor paper. I think this one is 300 GSM. I literally just got it off Amazon again, just like a basic little sketchbook. So I did all of my art on this pretty much, and then just cut down this bit and then put it into the binder. I used a range of different materials for the actual pieces in my portfolio. So these, again, Amazon, came in with the goods. So they're just like waterproof pigment liners. They're all just black, and they come in loads of different sizes. They've got different thicknesses. There's like a brush one as well. So I like just lining my pieces with these, and they've never failed me. I also used, not for many of the pieces in my portfolio because I don't really like using acrylic, but I use these acrylic ink things. I think these are from Amazon again. But yeah, I use these acrylic inks for some of them. They're really good because they're opaque and they're very easy to use. But the reason why I don't like using acrylics is because they dry really quickly, and I like to give myself a little bit more playing time, or at least be able to layer things a little bit more. So I prefer something that's a little bit more transparent, which is where this comes in. I never know how you pronounce this because I've heard people say gouache and then I've heard people say gouache, and honestly, both of those sound crazy to me. So it's basically just like a slightly more opaque watercolor, but they're really, really good. I love using these. I got this one in Hobby Lobby when I was in the States. But they're really good if you are like me and you like layering pieces, or if sometimes you want opacity, sometimes you want a bit more translucency, and they mix really well. You've got a little bit of extra time to play with. And then finally, the thing that I probably used the most outside of the paints was this like ink block and stone thing. Again, Amazon, we love to see it. But it's basically just a block of ink. I think this is like a Chinese one. And you basically just in here put some water and then you grind the stone onto it, and all of the ink comes off, so you can see it's like kind of worn down where I've been using it. But it's really good because you can get really kind of watery and like a very, very light grey wash, or if you like grind more of it, it gets a lot more opaque and obviously like black. You can get them in loads of different colours. I want to get some more because probably mainly a red one, but you can get them in all different colours like red, green, blue, whatever. And I really like this for just sort of sketching out ideas in the ink and then being able to go back over it and layer it again, because again, like I said, I like sort of having time to play with and I don't like going straight in. I would also recommend getting one of those. Again, inexpensive. And I don't have my brushes with me, but I think when I bought the paint I got some brushes as well. Really just like basic. I like using the round ones because I feel like they're just a little bit more, well, they're easier for me to work with. I don't know, whatever your preference is. And I would also say, just in terms of presentation and stuff, that it's quality over quantity, but that doesn't mean you should skimp on the quantity. So I had probably about 20 to 25 pages. Obviously, you've got to take into consideration that some of those are flash sheets, so some of those have multiple pieces on them. But I would say probably 20 is the lower limit in terms of pieces or pages. If you have like really high quality work where you have a lot of it and you want to showcase it all, then there's no harm in putting more stuff in there. But you also have to remember, like, it does take time to look through a portfolio and you want to make the best sort of impression that you can. So it's really important with yourself that every so often you just review it, and you know, like over time your style might change, you'll get better, you'll improve. So some of those pieces that you did maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, might be very different to what you're doing now. So I would say don't pick really, really old pieces that you've done, like from back in the day that you did at school, A-level art, GCSE art. Don't pick those. Do something that's a little bit more current. A lot of the work that I did, some of it I'd done beforehand, like in the previous year, which I included, but a lot of it I had done in the sort of lead up to me actually going out and looking for an apprenticeship. So I just say focus on having a good standard of work. It's better to have less pieces in there if those pieces are really, really good and they really, really stand out, than having an entire 100-page book filled with like sketches and doodles, because no one wants to see that and it really won't get you very far at all. Okay, I think that's everything. At some point I will do like a portfolio flick through and show you guys, but not just yet. I'm not ready to show you guys just yet. So stay tuned if that's something that you want to see in future. If you've got any questions about portfolios, what you should be putting in your portfolio, tips, pointers, anything that I've missed out, just drop it in the comments, let me know, and I will do my best to get back to you. So yeah, if this video was helpful, remember, be a lover, not a hater. Hit subscribe, follow, like, all that good stuff, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.